This
fine.
is so good.
Ship
This
Wow.
This is a tire that is afflicted with warts. That is what has happened here. Howdy. This is Lemmy and Nick with Dorman Products. Apparently reaction videos are big on the internet. We're not exactly the right age for this, but we have been told that you want to watch us watch stuff and then watch our faces when we watch it. I think that's how this works. I think all this stuff was pulled from Reddit. Our mechanics are just rolled into the shop, and it says here, our mechanic advice. So we're gonna react to the fine folks on Reddit. You ready?
I'm ready.
Take her away.
My tire flew off while I was driving and had to drive it home for a few blocks on a bald rim. Does that need to be replaced? I gotta see a picture.
If your tire ever leaves your wheel, before you even look at this, I would say, right, exactly. No, it needs to be replaced. There's no repairing that. That's a replace only scenario. Oh, that's not good. That looks real bad.
Yeah.
Well, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is you are correct. Your tire does need to be replaced. The bad news is...
I think he was asking if his wheel needed to be replaced, and that's also gonna be a yes.
Oh, I thought he was asking if the tire needed to be replaced. My tire flew off I was driving home a few blocks on a bald rim. It was just on the rim. I see what you're saying. Okay. Does this need to be replaced? Yeah. If you can't, once the tire comes off, you can't. This is a do not pass go, do not collect $200 scenario.
Yeah, you shouldn't be driving it.
Yeah, stop moving. Oh, now we're just giving bad news to people. I feel terrible about that.
Yeah, it's a Lexus IS 300.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
You can tell just by the wheel?
Yeah.
Man, this guy is good. How can you tell that?
I have a set of center caps for him on my toolbox.
Man, you're way better at that than I am. All right, let's move on to the next victim.
All right, is there anything I can do to make this white smoke not so bad? This looks like something you would drive.
You know, it's really funny. I was just thinking to myself, there's a OBS Ford. I like that thing. Probably a straight 6. I like that. That's a work truck right there. I like this thing. This is worth fixing no matter what it is. I want to know more about the white smoke. Is this vehicle hot or cold right now? You know, if this was a first startup on a cold day, those early like EC4 injection systems, they blew a lot of white smoke because they were shoving a ton of fuel down the pipe.
Right.
You know, if this is hot and you've been driving around for 60 miles, this is terrible.
Yeah.
You have some sort of coolant getting into your combustion chamber somewhere or other, but I can't, more information is required.
Yeah, absolutely. Did my wheel bearing or axle fail in some way? This mess wasn't here last time I changed my oil. Car drives and sounds fine.
It sounds like my whole life
Sounds like an axle. Sounds like an axle boot.
Ooh, look at you.
That is an axle boot.
That is an axle boot.
And yes, your axle is probably still fine if it's not making noise if you repack it with grease and put a new boot on. Actually, Dorman makes those quick boot kits. You don't even have to remove the axle to install it, so you could repair that.
Nick is not wrong. Nick is also 743,000 years old. No one repacks axles anymore. No one does this. Everybody just slams a new axle.
You can spend $200 on an axle or $30 on a boot. If it's not clicking, it ain't bad.
He's right. The only thing I will say personally is I have done exactly what you're talking about. Repack them, stitch them up, send them out. Sometimes they're not making noise, and I feel like the life of them can be shortened. So I think you get two issues there.
Fair.
You have both the grease leaving the axle, which is no good. That's obviously what's happened here. This, to me, looks very, very recent.
Yeah.
And the boot is still kind of hanging in there, which is kind of good. The other problem you have, though, sometimes is contaminants getting in. When you get, sand or dirt and it combines with that grease, it actually kind of forms like a lapping compound, and it wears out all those balls in there a lot quicker. So let me elaborate. When I repack them and replace the boot, I actually clean everything, remove all the old grease, which would have any of that stuff in it. I would clean it all up and then pack it. So don't just slap a boot on it and call it a day. Let's look at the next one here. I am 1 mile from home. Can I make it like this? Oh, this ain't gonna be good.
Wow. Yikes.
That's really bad.
Yikes.
So the problem is you get some of the inside parts on the outside here. That's not good.
Yeah, when your axle's hanging out of the transmission, you probably shouldn't drive it any further.
Right, exactly. Well, you know what I'm just thinking too is, like, regardless of what vehicle this thing is, rolling down the road, that thing is just, it's gonna, look at all the stuff that
Yeah.
axle is gonna wipe out. It's
yeah.
it's gonna whack into the belt here. It's gonna beat the tar of the control arm.
Oil pan.
The strut's gonna take a beat, and that hose is gonna get cut instantly. Yeah, that's gonna be really expensive. I would
Park
say,
it up, get a tow.
yeah, I wouldn't take that 100 more feet. The price of that bill is just gonna keep going up.
Oh yeah.
Park that sucker. All right, what else we got here? This
fine.
is so good.
Ship
This
Wow.
this is a tire that is afflicted with warts. That is what has happened here. And for those of you watching at home who don't know exactly what's happened here, the inner tire liner has developed a leak, and we now have air that has leaked between the liner and the carcass of the tire, and that's why this thing looks like it's got a bad case of the pimples. Yeah, if it's not immediately evident, if you see that on any vehicle, stop.
Yeah. Don't drive it.
Time for a tire.
Don't drive it, please. Is my car totaled? 2016 Hyundai Accent, 95,000 miles. That's probably totaled. I mean, it depends.
Yeah, I was
The
gonna
insurance company's going to total it.
Yes.
But you could fix it.
Also, yes. I would say this is probably totaled, but it's not because this is too hard to repair. It's because at this age and this car, the Blue Book value of this fluctuates based on how much gas is in the tank. So your car is probably totaled from a mathematical standpoint. From a can I repair this? Yeah, I mean, you could keep this thing on the road for not that much money, I think. You could straighten
You
out
could
that
also buy
radiator.
an additional one for not much money. You know what I mean? You could probably get that car for about $1,000. I think the body shop bill will be about $2,000.
You're probably not wrong. I don't know, nothing's $1,000 anymore.
Well,
Let's talk about insurance adjusters.
yeah, so, well, nowadays they do, right from the app. You'll take pictures and they'll estimate it and cut you a check, but don't cash that check, because if you cash it, you pretty much agree to what they assessed it at. I suggest bringing it to a shop. You can go through the whole process on the app and send them pictures, and they can give you an estimate. They can send you a check, but I would bring it to a shop and let the shop cash that check, because then they're going to be responsible to make sure the car's whole.
Actually, you know what's another good talking point, I guess, for a second, is the term totaled, right? I mean, totaled is really just an insurance term. It's a mathematical number. You know, a lot of times once a repair goes over a certain percentage of a car's value, if
Right.
it's like 60, 65, give or take for the insurance companies, they total it, meaning they're just going to cut you a check and move on. That doesn't mean that the car's not worth it, but I think a lot of people also think totaled is like some sort of a mechanical term. Nothing's ever totaled. Like we
Right.
can fix anything. We buy all new parts and build a new car if we need to, but
Right.
yeah, totaling is like
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like a kind of a concept more than an actual thing.
All right, Buddy's tire was hissing. They insisted we'd make it to a shop, but I refused. We put a spare on instead. How bad could this have been on the road? Oh, wow. Okay, the tread is officially coming off of the tire.
Oh, look there, you can see the
Yeah.
air.
Wow. Yeah.
This is
You would have ended up with a flat if you kept driving it, and pretty quickly.
That tire is trash. What are you even doing? You should
Yeah.
No one should have been in this car for the past 5,000 miles.
Right.
What is happening
Yeah,
here?
that's
If you could ever
pretty
see
bad.
metal inside of your tire, very bad.
I think you need an alignment too, because from the outside it actually didn't look terrible.
Is this in need of an alignment, or is this just a separation because half the steel is now gone out of the tire and the
Look at the tread depth over here, though.
fair?
He needs an alignment.
So I would also like to point out, since we're taking a little side street here, this is my most hated tire to handle. With the steel poking out, I
yeah.
don't care how many pairs of gloves you
Absolutely.
have on, that you are going to get stabbed by those. You get
yeah.
this stupid little row of pinpricks. Oh, it's the worst. People, please don't do this if you love your mechanic. Sorry, I just had to get that out of the way. Is this a sign of blowing the head gasket? I think that's blown. Well, I get it was too fast. We're doing terribly with the videos. We're not good with the
don't know how to do
technologies. All right, is this a sign of a blown head gasket, or is it just some air in the coolant system? Well, that's an excellent question. Did you just replace the coolant? Judging by the looks of it, the answer is absolutely not. I don't love that. I
yeah.
think
It's impossible to say without knowing the other circumstances.
I don't disagree with Nick. I think he's playing it close to the vest on that one. I would
Take it to a shop.
take it to a shop, but I would hazard a guess there may be some sort of a coolant leak here, and I think it might be somewhere near the head gasket.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Take it to a shop. You just don't want to deliver the bad news to these nice
Take it
people.
to a shop.
Take it to a shop. Let them tell you what we already know.
Smoke is never good, right? What is causing this? Smells like rotten eggs too.
Before we go here, what's jumped into your head?
Bad cat.
I don't know what, it's the sulfur in there.
Yeah.
Anytime it's a bad cat, they always smells like a breakfast omelet that's 3 weeks too old. Instantly, smoke
Could also be battery.
Yep, good call. Good call. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Again, also sulfuric acids. It's a sulfur egg smell.
Battery.
Battery. Good call. Look at you. Good call. So batteries do give off. They give off gases which are super, super flammable, and I think people don't take them seriously because you don't see too many problems with them, right? Like you don't see these massive explosions because a guy had a battery, they're unstable, but they really are. There's just some dangerous, nasty things.
One thing to keep in mind if you're charging your battery, make sure you always shut the charger off before you put the terminals on and off, because those gases that come off can easily ignite, and just putting a live battery charger will cause an arc.
I've had terminals arc on and off. What I would, especially too, if you jiggle a little while you're coming off or what I would probably do in this situation personally is leave this. It's outside, which it looked like it was outside.
Right.
That's good. It's venting its gas. It clearly got overcooked. I don't know if the regulator ran away in the alternator or whatever. But this thing got fried.
Yeah.
So let's just let it set, right? Let's let it vent. Let it do its thing. As long as we're not playing with it, we don't have any danger of a spark.
So probably wait till it's done smoking.
Yeah, right, exactly. So smoke, to this person's point, yes, smoke in this scenario, very, very bad.
But what's happening right now is it's overcharged, or there's shorted plates, and as it's charging, it's causing like overheating in the battery, which is causing that steam. So it shouldn't boil over unless it continues to charge. So shut the car off, leave the hood open like Lemmy said, and let it vent out.
Yeah, my personal next step too, I would put a known good battery in there, and then I would be doing a charging system check. And the first thing I would do is see what kind of voltage that thing was putting out, because that to me screams unregulated voltage. I wouldn't be surprised if you throw a new battery and then thing's charging at 16 volts or something.
Yeah,
crazy.
it does the exact same thing.
Yeah. Any way to recalibrate miles till empty on 2015 Chevy 1500? Ran out of gas last week because this said I had 30 miles left, and his picture here shows 44 miles remaining.
No, there's no way to recalibrate that. I'm pretty sure it's just an algorithm, and if it does calibrate, it does it based on your fuel mileage, right? It recalibrates based on your most recent fuel mileage. It calculates through the trip.
My guess is, we're far beyond my pay grade, but I would imagine different manufacturers at different times probably use different inputs for that algorithm. Some of them probably calculate, for instance, think of those the early oil life engine monitors. They were really just sort of calculating miles and engine RPMs. That was about it. They weren't taking other things into account. This may actually be calibrated correctly, right? Maybe this person was babying it up until the end, and then they got their foot into it, and the thing just didn't catch up and didn't correct.
So it's basing it off of your fuel mileage that you've been doing. So if you're not consistent with that, it's obviously going to be inaccurate.
Right. I would also take this moment to remind people, if at all possible, keep your fuel tank as full as possible. So if there's fuel in there, it means there's not rust in there. That's always nice. When the fuel level drops, sometimes the pump starts sucking up some of that sediment and garbage that drops to the bottom of the tank. So if you're able to not run your tank down to nothing like this, you're helping yourself in a variety of ways, not the least of which is not breaking down.
I think the biggest problem is last week you let it get down to 30 miles left, and this week down to 44 miles left. I think that's actually the problem. And the solution is to put gas in your car.
Or wait a second. Is this? Oh, you're saying this is another one.
This is a trend.
You're right. You're right. This is.
Last week I ran out. It said I had 30 miles left. And now you're taking it to 44.
Right.
Put fuel.
You know what though? In fairness, I kind of want to party with this guy. This guy paid for the whole scene. He's living on the edge. I like that. He's probably fun to go out with.
He sounds like your type.
Alrighty, well apparently we've watched the end of our videos. You're much happier because you watched a video of us watching a video, I think. Is that how that works? If
you have any other questions or maybe any other topics, leave them in the comments. Make sure you subscribe.
That would be nice, but I'm sure there will be comments. I have a feeling there will be more than one comment. Hey, for Dorman Products, I'm Lemmy, this is Nick. We're out of here.
Don't forget to check out our shop press.